Can the industry sustain these tactics? Let's get more on the world of cloud computing with Sholto McPherson from Box Free IT now. Sholto, thanks so much for joining us. Can you just talk us through first how cloud computing is being used in these big companies, just for people that don't really understand it?
Of course. So most people will be familiar with using accounting software on the desktop, but instead with cloud accounting, you're logging into it through your browser like you might with your Gmail or Hotmail accounts, and use a password and username, and all your information is stored on a data center by Reckon or MYOB or Xero. And the advantage is that your accountant can log in at any time and look at your information at the same time as a business owner, which means that any time you have a query, there's no emailing data files backwards and forwards or updating versions. Everyone's looking at the single source of truth at the same time. Is the current spend and number, though, of products sustainable? It's a very good question, Ingrid, and I would say most people would say it's impossible. At the last count, I think there are 8 vendors in the market, and a new one just joined in December, and they span the whole spectrum. I mean, you have Reckon, MYOB and Xero fighting it out at the small business end, and then you have people like Sasu more in the middle, and J-Curve as well, which is a front end really for NetSuite, which is an enterprise grade accounting platform, and CCH iBiz, Intuit, as you mentioned, coming over from the US. So, I mean, in a market like Australia, I don't know how it can sustain that many, and I think this year we're going to see some changes in that. What do you make of Xero's prospects going forward? I mean, are they a big threat to everyone? They're certainly a big threat to the Australian software providers. I mean, Xero claims to be adding 200 to 300 businesses every business day, which is a staggering growth rate. The one saving grace, or one hopeful scenario for its competitors, is that its ambitions are larger than its appetite, because it plans to dominate the US market, which is tightly held by Intuit. So it remains to be seen. It has a war chest of $180 million to take on that market, but whether it can maintain its focus on Australia as well as launch into the US and the UK in a major way remains to be seen. So how do you see these wars playing out over the next 12 months? Well, it's funny that the kingmakers in this scenario are really accountants and bookmakers, because the partners are the ones that recommend to their clients which accounting program to go with. On the face of it, you would say that MYOB and Reckon are in a great position because they have large and deep relationships with accountants and bookkeepers. But Xero has had a very effective campaign to win them over, including giving away free practice management software. And so it's difficult to say who's going to win. Ultimately, your accountant will probably decide. Who's winning the race between Microsoft Office 365 and Google Apps? Look, another great question. The numbers globally, from what I can tell, are fairly similar. They're both around between 3 to 4 million customers each. Neither company will break down what's happening in Australia. But from what I've been hearing from the companies that sell Google Apps and Office 365, things have really turned in the past 12 months. I think there's a much greater acceptance of cloud software among businesses in general, and I've heard that among enterprise, for example, Google Apps is doing well, Office 365 as well. So, I mean, the vendors won't say, but the market is enormous. I think there's room for both to coexist happily, and there isn't really a credible number 3 to counter those two. Sholto, we were just talking about this with James from News a short time ago, but what do you make of Satya Nadella being named as the new Microsoft CEO? He obviously has a lot of cloud experience and focus on innovation. Look, that's true, he does. Look, they have a couple of great products on their hands. Office 365, Microsoft says, is the fastest growing commercial product in their history. That is clearly the jewel in the crown as far as the cloud goes. Azure faces an uphill battle with Amazon, which has enormous market share, and mobile is a real mystery. I mean, Microsoft has attempted repeatedly to conquer that market and has so far not really made a significant dent. There's some hope for it in the tablet market, but you know, there's a long way to go. So given that the world is moving to cloud, I think most businesses are accepting that this is not just a fad, it's the new way we consume technology. Microsoft is in a good position, but it certainly has a long way to go to replicate its dominance in the desktop software world.
All right, Sholto, thanks so much for that.
A pleasure. Thanks, Ingrid.
Sholto McPherson there from Box Free IT. We do need to take a quick break.